This is Tilburg Science Hub. It looks clean and fresh. We paid like a really cool developer, designer to actually like help us design this because we're like boring researchers, right? So, visit that site. It's something that you probably need more in the future, right? And we get this awesome tutorial that we're going to go through now, which, by the way, is this link, and I'll put it in the chat. I'll never stop sharing my screen when I talk to you guys here. Alrighty. So the first thing I'm doing is I kind of create a directory, and I call this fiddle dprep because I want to delete this folder after this session, right? Just like some fiddling around with you guys on a project. And right now I want to verify that I have all the packages that I need, because actually this is the workflow that does some advanced text analytics on a Twitter data set, right? So everything installed, and it says like open Python and check whether everything is running well. So import NLTK, that's a natural language processing library. So essentially you're making your computer smart and be able to deal with natural language in English. And now we're going to download some packages, and it's already up to date. Zup, no error message. The last thing that I want to check is go to R and copy paste this little code snippet to be able to kind of run. You get like a question from where it's from, and to give our Swedish PhD students some credits here, I'm going to download the data from Umea. No idea, but let me do it. Yes, and some of my German, and actually I don't want to update these packages. No, because otherwise it may screw up my pipeline. So we're here. And some extra packages for R. Let me just check those. Boom, boom, boom. Actually, last year when I did this, nobody was on. Yeah, and sometimes you get like these, warning messages, and just ignore them for now. Chances the workflow will still work. Oh, Pillar. My students had problems with this Pillar package. Gee, I hope it's done. Good. By the way, you need to figure out that make runs on your system before doing this. Just type make. Oh, by the way, I'm still in R, quitting it, and I run make. Yay, no target specified and no makefile found. This means you have make. And because Macs are like, I think more intuitive for developers, Mac has this built in, and Windows users have to install it first. So if you have troubles, we can do that in the break. So now we're set up, and we're almost about to go on break. Now, let's start it up. So we've verified our software setup, la-di-la-di-la, and there's another clone Hannes. And now this is a workflow template. It's also on GitHub. I call this the text mining workflow. And we want to clone it. And you're going to learn all about like cloning next week, but this is maybe already like a lot. I think in this tutorial, I'll ask you to kind of download this. You click on code and then download it, and it takes a lot of time. You can just clone it directly by writing git clone and then just pasting the URL of this project. I don't know what I'm using actually in this thing. So now I'm downloading my thing, this thing. Bus, I'm not really sure I follow. What is not working? Maybe you unmute yourself. If there is an issue, otherwise not. Now, like quickly going to this fiddle folder that I've created, fiddle dprep. Take a look at it. It's super clean, right? No messy Dropbox. It's super clean. It has a README, and it has some source code, and it has a makefile. So let's check out this makefile. What's happening? This is a makefile which essentially tells a script to look into the data preparation folder and run make. When it's done, look in the analysis folder and run make. That's actually all. It's like tying together different makefiles. And let's check out what this project does. So when we write make, It's actually downloading some data with Python. It's downloading some raw data. Actually, does anybody remember what the raw data was? Because I forgot. What is the raw data in this project? I think it's Twitter data, right? Trump Twitter data or something like this. Fortnite. Oh yeah. Much more, much more topical today, I guess. Trump is old. I mean, that's history. Trump. I think you, Buzz, I thought like you were going to talk about like the second term of Trump or something like this, which I don't want to think about too much. So here we are. So what happened? We just ran an entire analysis from fetching the raw data to preparing a raw data, preparing, let's say, taking raw messy input data and like making it look nice. We ran a text analysis algorithm on it, and we just produced an R markdown with the result of our research project just by typing make. The raw data was downloaded in this data folder, Fortnite raw data. We got a bunch of generated files for each of the pipeline stages. Data prep, let's look at this. We got 2 buckets of data here. Temporary data, which just gets generated on the like in the fly. This is one that unzips the raw data. And here's the output data set, which is the clean data set that comes out of this. Let's take a look at it. It's probably going to look messy when opening it up in like some kind of text editor, which probably isn't. Oh, I'm opening up a number. Yeah, well, it's like, looks like a Twitter data set to me, right? ID number, created that, and some text on Fortnite. The polarity and the subjectivity. Well, the polarity and subjectivity, that's text analysis right here. And we're using like a text blob package in Python with it. And I know you may not be into Python, but I'll show you real quick. So in Python, you got a package called text blob, and this thing enriches the raw data, which doesn't have a sentiment score, by using the text blob package. And for example, if you pass a string to this text blob package, like today the sun is shining, which this, text blob is not defined. Import. Oh, this is weird. I think it's text blob.text blob or something like this. You can run some like stuff like sentiment. Today the sun is shining is like no polarity and no subjectivity. Let's try to make this more polar. Like, let's try to be very polarizing. Don't you think that the sun is really? Don't you see that the sun really is shining? So you already see this is getting more polar and more subjective. Well, let's try to make this even more subjective. Make your suggestions. How do we rewrite this one to make it more subjective? Give me some ideas, and I'll just copy paste your stuff. That's better than just like me doing everything. Then at least I make it a little more interactive. Or we could. How do we increase that statement? I could also just like write what Buzz has written about Trump. That's also fine. Oh, that one didn't work. Anyways, this is also anyways. So use this package at work, and it's enriching that data. Let's look at the analysis stuff here. And we look at the final results, which is just the final result of our running our markdown on this document. And that's kind of summarizing the data. It's going to take a while for it to open, and I don't know, let me open it in a new browser, Safari right here. There we go. Well, kind of looks familiar, right? It's an R markdown with some rudimentary analysis in R markdown. It's providing some summary statistics about this data set, which you've just seen. It does some plots about the polarity. It's like a first look at the data. I call it an analysis, but I barely consider this an analysis, but it's just for demonstration purposes, right? It's extremely powerful. And then one thing that you can do in this workflow, and let me open my stuff. One of the exercises that you'll do eventually, well, go back to the source code, is to understand that source code and then swapping the input data, for example, right? There's also some other data available on that server, and you can run that same analysis on some data that I collected on Donald Trump last year or the year before, I don't remember. Something else that you could do is this is still a prototyping script. Oh, and I'll open, sorry, I don't want to open it, quit. Got some weird editor here. So let me just open it with text edit. You don't like need to know Python to do this, but what I've done here is I have inserted the prototyping condition. I'm only like using the first 1,000 tweets. So now you could just like remove this by like commenting it out and try to run this workflow again. I suppose this was the prototype. The only thing that you need to do is to run make. And now it's processing all of these. By the way, this thing now figured out automatically not to download the raw data because we had already collected the raw data. This thing now only parses, just executes the scripts that it needs to execute to complete its job. And that's why we have, and that's because we have explicitly identified, now it's R by the way, it just switched, because we have specifically made explicit the order in which files need to be executed. All right. I hope you see how powerful this is. This has changed my life, my research life, by like, yeah, turn it upside down. With this, I suggest we go on a break. Let's make a 10-minute break. I need to get some fruits. And I'll be back in 5 minutes. For installation issues, if make doesn't work, so I'll quickly like look at your screen or something like that. Be prepared to share team, share your team view ID for me to figure it out, and then we'll continue at 45. All right. Thanks a bunch, and see you there.